Hello YouTubers, welcome back to another Tesla electric car video with me, Adam Well Informed. If you think the cheapest Tesla Model 3 is too weak for your needs, or if you're stuck between purchasing a Tesla Model 3 SR Plus and a Tesla Model 3 long range, then this is the video for you, because I'm going to lay out the differences to you and then bring this whole comparison to life like no other YouTuber currently does. That's because I will lay out a real life scenario and then you will know how to run your own road trip simulations by the end of the video. At that point, you can compare the difference in charging times between both trims and then annualize the difference. In addition to this, I will inform you of factual information that will actually make a difference between both trims. One thing you have to understand about this video is that I will not be definitively picking the best Tesla Model 3 in the conclusion. Because discounting the price, clearly the long-range Tesla Model 3 has better specs all around. The Model 3 performance is also an outlier because it's literally what it says in the tin. It's just performance. But getting back to deciding between a Model 3 rear-wheel drive and a Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive, what you need to consider is it's not all about specs. Whilst the long range dominates it, admittedly the SR Plus has a couple of tricks up its sleeve. It's way more capable and suitable than you may give it credit for, but ultimately there is a considerable price difference between the two trims. So what I want to do today is try help you determine if spending the extra £7,000 or $6,000 is the right thing for your circumstance. What is the best Tesla Model 3 for you and your unique circumstances? I think every Tesla Model 3 owner before you has been through this very dilemma themselves. However, in 2022, what if I said that the main advantages of the Tesla Model 3 long range are somewhat watered down in comparison to the rear-wheel drive SR Plus variant? About 5 months ago, ahead of the first 2022 Tesla Model 3 deliveries, I informed you of the biggest changes with the 2022 Model 3s. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time because I did a very similar video to this one just a year ago. But with this 2022 Tesla Model 3, the value proposition has changed considerably. So let's dive into the video. I want to start with a few factual comparisons between both trims. Then I want to bring the subject to life with the real life scenario before covering some of the key factors that may affect your decision and finally conclude with the value proposition. Firstly, let's start off with the exterior. I think the first thing that comes to mind when trying to illustrate the differences between the exterior is that iconic Spider-Man meme where they're both pointing at each other. The Tesla Model 3 SR Plus / rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 and the long-range Model 3 look almost identical. Just two visual parts on the exterior of the car will give it away. First being the dual motor badge on the back for the all-wheel drive long-range Model 3, whereas the Model 3 SR Plus doesn't display that badge at all. The second visual exterior change is the long-range Model 3 has front fog lights. The rear-wheel drive SR Plus variant does not. The alloy selection, FSD capability, paintwork, colour options, etc. are all identical. So when it comes to owning a Tesla Model 3, visually they look pretty much identical. The Model 3 performance does have a spoiler and it has its own wheels and a lower ride height, but it's tuned to performance, so it's sort of what you would expect anyway. However, on the inside of the vehicles and under the hood, the long range is a different beast. But that interior difference has actually shrunk considerably and grown in other places. Let me rephrase that. The interior and under hood advantage has shrunk in some places, but has grown legs in other places. That just sounds just as bad as what I said the first time, but I think you catch my drift anyway. Interior wise, the only significant difference is the audio now. Back in my original video, I was comparing partial and premium interior. That doesn't even exist now, and the SR Plus is almost as identical on the inside as it is on the outside. Even when it comes to premium connectivity, everyone now only gets that 30-day free trial, whereas previously there was a 1-year free trial period for long-range and performance Model 3s, even to the extent of having interior mats, heated rear seats, and heated steering wheel. The Tesla Model 3 SR Plus or Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive, whatever your naming preference of it is, the cheapest Tesla Model 3 is now more feature-packed than ever before. So Adam, what's the deal with the differences between the trims? They sound very much the same so far. Well, here is where it gets really interesting because the major differences are not purely number based. It's more about the trim's engineered philosophy and their engineered purpose that provides the contrasting dynamic between the two trims. That engineered purpose is its range, acceleration speed and charging speed. That is where it gets real saucy. The difference in the advertised range output between these cars has trimmed somewhat. Originally, there was an 82-mile difference between the two variants in 2021. That range difference now stands at a super magical 69 miles difference. And anyone that follows Elon Musk will know exactly that difference has probably been engineered to the exact digit. The SR Plus gain though wasn't at the expense of the long range. In fact, the long range got a nice range buff to 374 miles, making it ever closer to a 400-mile range car. The SR Plus, on the other hand, undertook a change of direction, and Tesla actually increased the battery capacity, which directly led to an increase in the vehicle's range. However, the bigger battery came with an engineering price. The Tesla Model 3 SR Plus got heavier and the acceleration got slower than before, being 0.5 of a second slower in a 0 to 60 sprint than its older 2021 version. You can debate whether 0.5 of a second is dramatically slower, but I'm pretty sure the difference won't be noticeable, especially if you're coming from a slower ICE car. 5.8 seconds 0 to 60 is still very respectable for an entry-level car. It's nothing on the 4.2 seconds of the long-range Tesla Model 3 on a pre-acceleration boost level, but overall it's a small price to pay to really tackle the general public's fear of range anxiety. Range anxiety is actually one of the top 5 greatest concerns holding back ICE drivers from acquiring an electric car. I covered this in a video just the other week. I've noted that video on the screen now if you're interested in just how I see those concerns today as an EV driver myself. So now we know the range for the SR Plus is over 300 miles. Is that it for range comparables? Well, no, it isn't. The true devil lies in the detail, and I will discuss the SR Plus's biggest and potentially its only advantage over the long-range Model 3 in the next section. But before I do that, I just want to cover the all-important charging speeds. As you would expect, the long range and performance lead the way with a mighty 250 kilowatts maximum charging speed, whereas the SR Plus can do up to 170 kilowatts. At this given time, I've personally got mine to 164 kilowatts at a Tesla supercharger. So if you are supercharging a long range, it should easily outcharge a Model 3 SR Plus. But does that extra charging speed make a difference? We'll consider the practicality aspects and value associated with it shortly. Now I want to talk about mileage and average daily use with both models, and I will be using a real life scenario to help illustrate the difference between the two. To the extent you can actually simulate your own illustration for your own personal circumstance. Those that watch me week in, week out will know I pretty much parrot this phrase consistently because it's a well documented fact. That fact is the average driver completes around 10,000 miles a year in the US, which is about 30 miles a day on average. The UK is slightly lower than that, so on a day-to-day basis, both of these vehicles will execute your daily drive with absolute ease. So put that in your pipe and, hang on, I'm starting to hear the screams of road trip driving. And to be fair, that's a valid consideration. The long-range Model 3 excels for long trips, and not just because of its range advantage, it's also because that charging speed advantage and its charging curve advantage it can sustain over the SR Plus. Therefore, long-range drives are better taken by the long range, right? Well, yes and no. Some of you are probably thinking I'm absolutely quackers just saying that right now. On paper, 100% the long range is and will be the best car to take on a long road trip, but attaining value and assigning value to your particular case, you should consider how often you will stretch the range of your Tesla Model 3 to around 300 miles or beyond each year. Remember to double it if you're doing a round trip as well. Now, you should take note of what I do next so you can see how much time you can save with a long range Tesla Model 3, and then you can judge if that delivers good value for you. Hopefully now you have a general idea as to how many road trips you would take beyond that 300 mile range of the base Tesla Model 3. Here's where I'll bring this topic to life. I don't see any other YouTuber explaining this very topic with this level of interaction. So before I bring the whole subject to life, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you really like Tesla content like this. If you want access to Ecomp Calc's closed beta, don't forget to follow the socials in the description below and DM me your email address for us to forward your exclusive invitation. And just to note, we're looking at just UK based testers at this time as we're making alterations for US and European users. Let's get back to this juicy video. I now want you to head over to a website called A Better Route Planner, or download the smartphone app to your phone in order to help us simulate a real relatable scenario with both cars to see how much time you will gain by owning a long-range Model 3. PS, I don't have any commercial connections to a better route planner. I'm really just an avid fan, and it's my go-to EV route planner for my smartphone. I just literally think it's a truly awesome tool, and that's just my opinion only. Anyway, I'm going to simulate my own scenario myself, and once you've watched me, you can do the same for one of your potential road trips. So the first thing you need to do on a better route planner is pick your electric car. So in this occasion, we'll pick the 2022 Tesla Model 3 60 kilowatt hour variant. This is the cheapest base Model 3 that you can get at the moment. We can then make all sorts of adjustments via the burger menu, but I will also change the state of charge to 100% for this simulation, and I'll also change the units to British so I can see miles instead of kilometres. Love it or hate it, this is just how we roll in the UK. I just follow suit. If you want to use kilometres, just use whatever you're comfortable with. Now let's move to trip simulation. Leicester, UK is going to be my starting point, and I will simulate a spontaneous trip to Glasgow. We can simulate our charging stops and total trip time, all just by inputting the starting and end point. Just like a sat-nav, it should display the quickest way to get there. But this simulation just doesn't look right. Glasgow is a lot further from Leicester than this, so I'm going to just have to rerun this just to make sure I've selected the correct location. Having done that, this looks a lot better now. The total drive is 307 miles away, and most of it will be motorway like driving, so we're talking about 60 to 70 mile like speeds for most of the journey. The grand total trip is about 5 hours 10 minutes with 2 tiny charging sessions, collectively taking 17 minutes in charging time. What I want you to take notice of is total stops, but more importantly the total charging time of 17 minutes. That's the key figure here. If you go back to the burger menu and change the car to the long-range Tesla Model 3, note we have selected this Tesla Model 3 under the 2021 model year. Check that the partial state of charge is still 100%, then click the blue button to rerun the journey again. So the total trip time is now 4 hours and 55 minutes, just one charging stop this time, and charging for a total of 9 minutes. That's a 15-minute total time saving. 8 minutes of that is charging. The other 7 minutes difference I suspect stems from driving to the second supercharger, slightly off route for the second SR Plus charge, whereas this long range simulation utilised just a single charging session. Still, that's collectively 15 minutes saving on the single trip, assuming we have charging on site at our Glasgow destination and have to repeat the experience on the way back. That's 30 minutes extra charging as a round trip in total. Therefore, if you only do this once or twice a year, can you stomach that extra 30-minute stoppage time in exchange for the cost savings? I can't answer that question. It's just so personalised to your own circumstances, and that's why anyone just saying buy the long range because it has more range, it just isn't a true value reflection of your circumstances. If money isn't a factor, then I'd agree with that long range statement. In fact, we'd probably opt for the performance if money wasn't a factor. However, my point is that if you don't extract that full range over a number of occasions, are you extracting that £7,000 or $6,000 of added value that the long range Model 3 can give you? There is a contradiction to my statement and my equation above, and that is very cold weather. If you live and drive your car frequently in very cold weather, Tesla actually advises you to go with a long range Tesla Model 3 or Performance. So do take that into consideration. However, if you're not taking those long road trips during winter, or if you do it maybe once over the Christmas period, say, the whole value proposition comes into play again. Now, to put another spanner in the works, courtesy of Tesla, the battery chemistry of both variants are completely different, and therefore how you treat the car is slightly different. The rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 has a LFP pack, which has a lower energy density battery, but is expected to be incredibly hard wearing. For the driver, that means charging to 100% frequently is actually advised by Tesla, and degradation should be next to minimal. The longer range battery has a high energy dense pack, which for the user enables them to get more range from the vehicle, but charging to 100% is only advised for long trip purposes only. Therefore, if you're driving 300 miles frequently and you expect to put some serious daily mileage on the car, maybe the more practical hard-wearing battery of the SR Plus is going to be more suitable. That said, the very cold climate spanner will probably take priority over this, but it's just another consideration for when you do your illustration. To conclude, I think a lot of people are willing to write off the SR Plus or the base rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 as not suitable for their needs, and the long range is too much of a leap in price for them. I'm hoping this video has helped you realise that the SR Plus is still a full Tesla experience and you're not really sacrificing as much as you think. Overall, the long range Tesla Model 3 is a better car, but what you really need to work out is the price difference suitable for your circumstances. Does the premium sound mean much to you? Is the charging time loss too big with the SR Plus, or are you willing to swallow an hour or two over the course of a year? Don't forget, driving an average of say 60 miles per hour for 4 hours is around 240 miles. One's bladder must be weak after 4 hours, not even considering any younglings or golden oldies in the car. So would you be stopping anyway? And if so, is that time delay of charging not truly felt because of that? At the end of the day, there is no right answer between both cars, and only you can make the correct judgment of which will suit you more. The Model 3 long range is the better car, but you may find that the SR Plus is just way more suited for your requirements. It's more practical than ever before and way more spec packed than before. Overall, I really hope this video helped you. If it did, drop me a comment below and I'll get back to you. If you don't know what to comment and you got this far in the video, just comment the phrase SR Plus versus long range and I'll give you a cheeky thumbs up for getting this far in the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends and family if you find it useful. Otherwise, you've been great, I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the